All right, is it working? I jumped on the wrong stream, so not sure if you guys could see me now. Maybe it's working, maybe it's not working. I think it is working. Anyway, sorry, late start. We had some power outages and stuff like that, and so I'm trying to organize, make sure everything works. And it seems to me the audio is working and everything else is working. So let me know if you guys could hear me or see me or neither or both or whatever. So today we're gonna continue working on our project, which is our amazing application that we're building. If you weren't here last stream, we added some pictures and avatars, but mostly I forgot to save the changes, so we'll have to do it again, but that's no big deal. But right now our application is nothing exciting. It actually looks kind of disgusting at the moment. You know, this is kind of what it looks like. But the good news is this data, we're getting it from our API. Our API is running in Strapi. We added 3 projects, and let me show you where that's it here. Localhost. Actually, it's not here. It's gonna be here. But I'll show you where our application's running, so you could kind of see that what we have here. So if I log in, we set up this backend with Strapi, and we entered 3 projects right now. And these projects are being passed through this API to our front-end application, and that's why we're able to see the data here. And I think if I go here and check, do I have any console logs? Yeah, we see the console log of all the things we're getting. We're getting our description, our feature image, and all this other stuff. So now what we want to work on today is basically adding React Bootstrap, making sure that, you know, this application is starting to take shape, starting to look good. And again, more concerned with the functionality of it first, and we could always tweak the CSS, but let's put our React Bootstrap into play here so we could start looking at and making it look prettier. And by the way, if you're in the comments, let me know if you guys could hear me, if the audio is not too loud or too quiet, or the music, and go from there. But yeah, so that's what we're going to work on. Let me pull up kind of what we're building right now. If you're brand new and you're kind of jumping in the middle of it and you're like, what the hell's going on? I'm not sure what's happening. So we're working on a portfolio management site for web developers where they'll be able to add their portfolio projects that they're working on. Their friends will be able to comment and upvote on them. That's the first initial kind of MVC, as you will. And then after we get that functionality done, we're going to add a project management feature where you're going to be able to manage your projects, manage the steps you're working on, and all this other stuff. But currently that's what we're working on, and we're gonna check it out and kind of see where we at right now. So let me find this outline that I made of kind of what we're doing to kind of review this idea of kind of like where we at, how much more we have to do. So let me share my screen here again. So currently what we're doing is we're working on building this application. We want it to look, this is going to be our initial page. We're going to have our navbar here at the top, and for now we want to be able to at least display 3 posts, and the functionality that we want to have here when we're initially getting started is making sure that we're able to click the like button or the detail button. If we're not logged in though, it's going to send us to a login page where we would have to log in, and once you're logged in, you'll be allowed to see the detailed information of the post. And so it's going to look like like this kind of. Again, this is just, we are working on building an MVC, like a very quick minimum viable like product, make sure that functionality works. So in the past couple of streams, what we were able to do, we were able to connect our backend, which was with Strapi, and connect it to our React application, that at least we're pulling our data from a database. And it's a very important key to be able to do when you're building an application. Don't try to just create like this huge application that you have so much functionality that you have to do that it's already overwhelming before we started. So we kind of talked about this idea. We're going to keep things simple. We're only going to have, 4 data types. We're going to have our users, who are going to be our developers. Each developer should have a portfolio, and that portfolio should have basic things like the who wrote it, the name, the description, a live URL where they could see the site and stuff like that. And then we also gonna add comments to keep things simple here. And again, our UI is really basic. Again, the whole point is to get a skeleton overview of what we're doing, and make sure that functionality works before we go too crazy. Because you could always update the CSS, but if your app doesn't work, like, what are you gonna do? And so that's what we're working on. And today we're gonna continue by adding React Bootstrap and making it hopefully start making it look prettier. And hopefully it's gonna be fun. Probably not. These coding live streams, by the way, I don't expect a lot of people to watch, but at the end of the day, I want to continue doing it because you guys get to see me making my project without preparing for it first. So like, all of these are not prepared streams, and people are like, why you do unprofessional, unprepared streams? And the point for that here is because I want you guys to see the struggle of what it's like to code live, because I don't want you to get unrealistic expectation of what it would not be like, when you are coding at home, and it's not the same as these prepared like tutorials you see online where everything works, because the truth is nothing's gonna work, things are gonna break. And so the idea here from the stream for you guys is to see the reality of coding and building something yourself. And again, the reason why some people might not like these streams is because it's talking about code, it's talking about struggles of programming, it's not fancy, it's not exciting, but it's about doing the work at home. And for those of you who are watching, if you're looking to get into web development, you're looking to get started, your most important skill you could develop is building things from scratch. So kind of having this live stream where we're building a project from scratch, I want to show you without hiding the challenges that you will come into and the things that happen along the way. And so today we're going to work on trying to make our application look prettier than this. Currently it looks literally super ugly right now, like not pretty. But the good news, the functionality is there. We have the 3 posts that we created. We didn't add the functionality for likes, but at least we're getting the data from the database. And so today we're going to work on this section here, creating this card component, or at least the basics of it, and getting it to look somewhat better than this. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to do it by utilizing React and Bootstrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up React Bootstrap in your application. And basically React Bootstrap utilizes Bootstrap because it's in the name, but at the same time it gives you pre-made React components that allow you to kind of put things together somewhat easier. And so the point is, because I'm only one developer working on this project, I want to utilize different libraries to make this development process go a lot smoother and faster. And hey Lucky, what's up? Good to have you here, brother, as well. The first commenter ever, I appreciate it. You're always here though, so we're always good to have you here. So we're going to continue today. We're going to try to make our application kind of resemble this. I also realized from the last stream I didn't save the changes from the last stream I made, which is a mistake. And we're going to talk about how to make sure that you're not forgetting to save changes, and how when you're adding new features to your project, when working in your project using Git, you want to make sure that you don't commit everything to master, because then it's going to be really hard to fix changes, or if you mess things up, to go back and try to figure out where you made a mistake. So the first thing we're going to do, let's take a look at our project in terms of like where we are right now. Let me see if I open up this is our back end. That's not what we want. Let me open up this one. Here we go. And I don't like how that disappears. Let me fix that. It doesn't like my viewed on the huge screen, so I'm just gonna do it like this. Yep, 1 second here. As always, doing my best to make things work. But currently this is our project. Let me close this window here because we don't need it. And right now, again, if you're just jumping on and you're confused, that's okay. That's why I do the stream live, so you could ask questions. But basically, we have our basic HTML here, and if we take a look here, we have a basic component that we created called projects, and all it does is basically loads the data from our API using this code here. And once we have the data, we loop through it and we display it on screen. And so this is what it's going to look like in its current state. You know, it's going to look like this. Very simple, nothing too exciting. So this is what it looks like. So this is good. So now what we want to do is we want to add styling to this. But instead of using just traditional CSS, we're going to use React Bootstrap. So the first thing, let's go to our trusty Google and let's look up React Bootstrap to get started. So React Bootstrap. All right, and so very easy, boom, it comes up. And this is basically using Bootstrap, but using it with React components, so it makes it very easy. So what we want to do is we want to install this package to get started with React Bootstrap. So not that one, close that one. So let me go to our code project here. So here's the thing, guys, before we I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Before you guys start working and doing your changes, you might be finding yourself that you're living in the master branch here. We don't want to make changes that we don't even know are going to work in our master branch. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here. Okay, let me open this. I zoomed in like super huge, so like I hope I'm going to close all this. Nope, let me shrink it down. Anyway, this is the wrong one. It's right here. So we're gonna go here, and I don't like how this looks. What is going on? Oh, okay, this is like you click right mouse button here, and am I like losing my mind here? Oh, I'm sorry. You click on this master branch here, and the first thing we want to do, we want to create a new branch, and we're gonna call it React Bootstrap. So what we want to do, we want to make sure that make sure that the changes that we're making, we're not making them in our main branch. We want to make sure that we're in a brand new branch. I'm going to make sure to let's switch to it, and we're already in it because this says it here. If you happen to be on master, you're like, oh, I'm on master, I don't want to be in master, click the button and switch to React Bootstrap. So number one, we want to make sure that we're making changes in the feature branch and not in master. It's very important because I will tell you how many times have I been in a place where I'm like, ooh, I made these changes and I made all my changes in master, and then I made too many changes that broke the application, and then trying to figure out what broke the application is very difficult. So make sure before you commit anything to master, you build it out in a feature branch like we did React Bootstrap here, and make sure that you are able to test it first manually. You don't have to write tests, just test it, make sure it works before you merge it into the main. So good, we are in our React Bootstrap branch. So next thing we're going to do is open up a terminal. Because my computer is weird, I have to make sure I set it to use using the system node, which is the version we want, version 14. And let me make it bigger here. And so the first thing we're going to do here, let me move my face to another side so you guys could see better. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect. And I'm going to copy and paste basically npm install React Bootstrap and Bootstrap 5.0 in my terminal in the code editor. And then I'm going to click install, and that's going to install React Bootstrap for us and Bootstrap, so we're able to use it. Once it's installed, we're going to run npm start to start our application. And when that happens, yep, let's run another version of it because it's already running here. And when it's running here, you're gonna have it appear and it's gonna be broken. It says error here. So if something like this happens, it's probably because I'm not running the server. So did I close it? I did close it. So let me go here. Let me figure this out, guys. Backend community API. Make sure this is running. Again, this is our backend API. We're not going to focus too much on it today, so don't worry about what we're doing here. I'm just starting it up basically. I'm going to run npm run build, not build, run develop. So we run our API in our development branch, not development branch. We run it in development mode, and once it's running, our error should disappear because we have the API to pull data from. So as I refresh, boom, we have our 3 projects here. So right now, our application doesn't look anything special. Let me take a look at the comments for the few of you, the proud, the people that appreciate unprofessional live coding. I appreciate you guys here. And CH, fighting with the network. I get it. I was having network problems too, but I'm here now. So basically what we're doing, we're adding React Bootstrap to our application. So we created our first step, which was basically do the npm install here. And we basically went to their documentation and going through the documentation and following the steps. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that whenever you're doing stuff, you're going to be using documentation. You're going to be using and reading stuff that it's perfectly fine. So that's what we're going to do. What I also want to do is, because we're using React Bootstrap, basically it makes Bootstrap styled components for React, but underneath that it's using Bootstrap 5, right? And so it's nice to open Bootstrap 5 and to kind of have it for reference here, just in case you have to look it up. And again, the reason I'm using React Bootstrap is because I don't want to spend many hours styling CSS from scratch. I just want to quickly make it look good enough for us to be able to kind of get an idea of what we're building and make sure that we could focus on functionality most, because what's going to make our application is the functionality. So once we're imported, it kind of shows us through examples here how to set up the CSS. We're actually going to use Sass, and so we're going to focus on this point here. So the way we're going to import Bootstrap is in our Sass file. So let me go back to our code editor. Let me zoom out so it's more doable here. And what I'm going to go here is I got too many things open, but that's okay. So let me close this. We're going to go into source, and I already created a blank folder, called it Sass. You could call it styles, whatever you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file here, index.scss. So that's using Sass. And inside here right now, I'm just going to do, like, to make sure that it's connected, I'm just going to do body tag, and I'm going to make background red just to make sure that it is connected here and working. And then what I'm going to do is go to my app.js. This is the root of our application here, and what I'm going to do is, instead of importing app CSS at the moment, because we're not going to use it, I'm going to import the new file that we just created. So I'm going to go import, and it's in Sass. Hold on. In Sass, and we called it index.css. And in theory, this should all work. So if I switch to my application here, and damn, it doesn't work. We have an issue. Can't resolve, no modules. Basically, it says we don't have Sass to use. So what we need to do is we need to install Sass. Very simple and very easy. We just go back to our code editor, open our terminal, and we're going to do npm install Sass. I think that's going to fix it. We'll see. And if you guys have other questions, burning desires on your chest that you want to get off on this live stream, let me know. Let's do that. And Lucky, do I have some books that I could recommend about React? I do have some books, but I would say the best way to do it is when it comes to learning React, do a tutorial online. And I keep recommending John Smigler tutorials because they're awesome, but that's what I would recommend. I have coding books, but they're more like general coding books, not React specific, because I find out that a lot of the React books that I did have, the data in them, the information in them is outdated. So going on reactjs.org is a good place, and to read the documentation and then pick up one React tutorial. Why don't you jump in and do John Smigler's React course on Udemy, and we could talk more about it. And we got KitKat jumping in here. Hey, hello, you're doing amazing, KitKat. I'm pretty proud of you. I keep up on your progress in your code. I'm very just amazing. A lot of accomplishments you made since you started here. And then Hologram Nunchucks, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hope you guys all doing good. So today's stream, we're basically setting up React Bootstrap. So we just installed React Bootstrap. We installed via Node React Sass, not React Sass, just regular Sass. And this should have fixed my error, but the reason it didn't is because, like an idiot, I didn't start the application running. No, what am I doing? npm run start, not build. And the reason why I'm doing again these live streams for you guys is to make sure that you guys are basically able to see that when you're coding stuff, it's it's not all like unicorns and rainbows. Like, look, we have this error. I have no idea why this error here. And so a lot of times what's going to happen, you're going to have to figure out and see what's causing that error. And so let me check here. We're in the right application. We want to run npm run start. Then that should start. Run another instance. We're running an instance of an application already. I don't know where, but that's okay. We'll run another one. And it's broken. And remember I told you guys my computer is crazy. And so there's many different Node versions. I'm using Mac Mini. And Mac Mini, when you install Node, it will install the greatest, newest, like I believe Node 15, which is not what a lot of these applications are going to use, utilize. So there's a lot of breaking changes. So we want to make sure that we're using at least version 14 for all of our development at the moment. And then if I npm run start, if I type it again, in theory it should work, but it has not been working. And so I've been being like, what the hell? What is happening? Oh my God, it's working. Yes, it's working. And this is the putrid red. It's because we tested our CSS file that we added here. So if we take a look here, so now we know this works. Our index Sass file that is connected works, so we could delete that. So next thing we're gonna do is go to our Bootstrap React documentation here, and we want to import Bootstrap. And so before I do that, I want to show you that this is what it looks like. Like, the styling is kind of ugly. Not that by importing Bootstrap is gonna fix the styling yet, but you should see some small changes. So let's go ahead here. We're gonna import this here. And the reason why I'm doing it this way, importing Bootstrap in our Sass file, if I do wanna override custom Bootstrap styling, I could easily do it through Sass here based on the documentation that they have. So let's take a look at our application here. And you can't really tell, but the font is slightly different and the spacing is a little bit different. It's because we're actually using React Bootstrap or Bootstrap in general. And what's awesome now, I could test it out by to go in my code here. I'm gonna go to our home page, and we could add, class name and give a Bootstrap class here that we know we could use if you ever use Bootstrap. But because we're using React Bootstrap, we actually have React components that are available to us, and I know container is one of them. So I'm gonna import it from React, and I'm just gonna wrap our home page in the container. And what you should see is that hopefully if everything is connected, we should be able to see the changes. And as you could see, now it is set to this container. So it's no longer up butted against the edge. And to prove that to you, I could add the same container in the navigation here. So we want this to be aligned with that application. So I'm going to go to my components and I'm going to find, actually, did I make the navigation by itself? No, I didn't. It's okay though. So we have our application here, and you know, this is our navigation here. So if I want to put a container in it using React Bootstrap class, I want to make sure that our navigation, all of the stuff is, and a lot of the stuff we are going to refactor, but I'm just showing you, you know, that React Bootstrap works. So if I put this in the container and go back to our code and refresh, it's going to be broken because container is not defined. So what we want to do is we want to import container here. So I'm going to go import, and I'm going to import container from, and it did give me some nice code, kind of whatever thing to be able to easily find it. I don't know what the hell, what is that called when code autocompletes, code suggestion, use React Bootstrap. So if we come back here and I refresh, boom, notice our navigation is in line with it. So anyway, this is not exciting yet, but the good news is we got everything connected. So that's step one. So quick review here. We opened a separate branch that we called React Bootstrap, and then we installed React Bootstrap following the steps from the documentation here by running npm install React Bootstrap, and we made sure to install Bootstrap 5, which is the greatest and newest. We're using Sass, so we did npm install Sass. So now our project is ready for us to be able to apply styling. But before I move on and we start working on adding our navigation, we'll go from, let me take a look at the comments, make sure I'm chatting with you guys, because ultimately, like I like this community because I just get to talk to you guys while sharing my crazy stuff that I'm doing. And Kit Kat's going back to sleep. Yeah, she's in a different time zone, so good night. You know, probably she's already out. Lucky says your brain is sharp today. Not really. I'm just like, you know, I used React Bootstrap before, so I am familiar with it from that point. But KitKat says it's 2:30 a.m. here and I have to work tomorrow. God damn, you gotta go to sleep. And Big B Tuxedo Cat 420 is here. You make it look easy. Hey, it's you know, easy because I failed so many times, and so it's starting to look easier. So, but that's where we at. So now what we're going to do, we're going to kind of start to set up the basic styling for our application here using React Bootstrap. So let's take a look at our community project. Share screen here, what we try to build. So today we're going to focus on building out this card styling component, make sure that we're able to see the images, make sure we're able to see the details and all this other great information of our avatar. And this is pulled from our backend. And so we're not going to worry about the backend today. We're working on the styling here. So for today, we're going to focus on, can we make this? And if we get too excited and get this far again, maybe can we make the login page next? I'm not sure if you'll get through all of this on the stream, but this is where we're going to start here. And so we know we need our cards to be able to show 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 3 columns. And I know I didn't put a navbar here, but let's start with something simple. Start with a navbar to kind of get our bearings here. So I'm going to go back to my React application. I'm going to close this because it's running. And I'm going to start from the beginning here. Let me kind of close this down. So let me make this bigger so you could see here. So all of our folders are in source. And if we go to our pages component, that's gonna be our different pages that we're using. And what we want to make sure is, our details page that we have, our home page that we have, and our login page that we have, we want to include, like, let's say, navigation in it. And so it doesn't matter if you go to this page, we want to make sure that it shows navigation on top, and we want to only add it in one place. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go to our index.js. We're going to go into our app. So this is kind of our home, where we have, let me make it smaller now, where we have our routing that we implemented a couple of streams ago, that when you click on a certain link, so if I go to my application here, if I click on home, it's going to take us home. If I click login, it's going to take us to a login page. If I click project details, it will take us to the detailed page that's private. But for now, we're working on home page. So we want this navigation to be in every page that we do. So let's make it as a separate component. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my code editor here. And so this is our general navigation here. So I'm going to kind of cut this out for the moment, because we're not going to use it here. I mean, we are, but we're going to make a separate component so it lives in its own place. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it navigation. I'm going to call it top navigation, just in case if in the future we decide to build a, another navigation on the side or some other form of navigation. I'm going to call this file top navigation.jsx. And I'm going to create a functional component, and I'm just going to post in here what we had here before. And now we need to import container from React Bootstrap. So I'm going to import here container. Hey Luke, what's going on? Luke, coding after 30, yes, party time all time. Thank you for joining on this unprofessional stream where I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. And again, I do want to keep these unedited, unprepared, because I want to show you that what real coding is like, so you guys understand it's okay to fumble around, it's okay to constantly look at documentation, it's okay to look stuff up. But yeah, anyway, moving forward, we imported container. Now we need to import link, and we import link from, we imported from React Router DOM, I believe. React Router DOM. Boom, right there. So let me format this. Yeah, use prettier when you're coding, because it makes it nicer to format. Everything is consistent, so it's nice. So we added our navigation. So let's go to our application here. Refresh. Notice our navigation is gone. The reason why it's gone is because we moved it into its own separate component. So now we have it living in this top navigation component. Let me actually do it like this. Top navigation. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our app.js, and we're going to import now our top navigation component that we just made. And lo and behold, and we could delete this, we don't need this anymore. When we go to our application and refresh, boom, our navigation is on the top. Our blog posts or our project posts are working. So now what we want to do, we want to make the navigation look less ugly. Now, let's do that first. And right now we're going to make it less ugly, but there's some functionality, like for instance, when you click on home, and if we're in the home route, we want home to be highlighted if we had project. We're going to add that later. But right now, let's do some basic kind of stuff. And so we're using Bootstrap. So I'm going to go to React Bootstrap into components, and I'm going to find navs or navbar. More importantly, we don't want navs, we want navbar. And so we're using the power of Bootstrap, and we're literally going to use the power of copy and pasting here. So I'm going to scroll to see when I find a navbar I like. This one looks good enough. So I'm going to copy and paste this navbar. I'm going to copy it. The power of copy and pasting. And by the way, here's the important thing. If you know like React, if you know basic HTML and CSS, like copy and pasting makes sense, because I kind of understand what this code is. And this is like using their components that they created that have Bootstrap styling already applied to them. And so we're gonna use this here, and we're gonna go back to our code here. And what I'm gonna do here, which is nice because we moved our top navigation to its own component. Now I know all the changes I need to make here. So what I'm gonna do for now, I'm gonna just paste the React Bootstrap version. I'm gonna take this out for a second here, and I'm gonna keep it here so we have the old code that we wrote for reference, so when we could modify this very easily. And so this is complaining because we want to import Navbar from our, and we want to, why did I delete container? We want container too. I'm gonna import container, and we want to import, what am I doing? Link, not router, DOM. My God, you could tell. I gave up coffee. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I think my brain doesn't work the same anymore. So we want to import Navbar. I already import Navbar. We want to import nav and container. And now when we go back to our application and I refresh, look at that, Navbar. We made our Navbar. These links don't do anything yet because we're gonna fix them in a moment. But we have a beautiful Navbar made. So let's go back into the code here and let's make these links work. And we're gonna use this for now, copy, because these are the links that we want. We're gonna post them here. I'm gonna say that this is gonna uglify things a bit because right now we're using nav links, but we want to use a separate component that we're gonna get in just a second. But for the moment, I'm going to actually keep it like this for now. So at least our functionality works, but I think our styling is gonna be super ugly. And I could delete this because we don't need this. And then I'll take a look at the comments, see how you guys all doing here. Yeah, so our Navbar somewhat broke. We're gonna fix it in just a moment, but at least now when I hit home, when I hit projects and detail login page, our navigation works, which is amazing. And so let's rename this to what this is actually called. This is called dev hunt. And then we'll fix the styling later. We have to come up with some other, you know, name than dev hunt, maybe something else. But for now, boom, this works. But the styling is off because we're using React Router link, which don't play nice with React Bootstrap. So what you need to do is install one initial package to fix it. But before we do that, let's jump in and look at the comments, get the love from you guys, which I'm amazed that you guys even watched this live stream. This live stream is ridiculous. How often do you have to configure Webpack for your project? Do you just use what create React app config starts out with? Webpack config is kind of tricky. Yeah, 100% hologram nunchuck. So like, that's a great question. What I say for beginners, don't worry about Webpack, especially when you're working with React. Use create React app that does everything behind the scenes for you, and it's the best way to get started without adding extra confusion. I don't know Webpack that well, shocked, surprised, because it's not necessary. A lot of times you don't have to set a lot of the stuff up from scratch. Just think of it. Let's say you have a bajillion hours in your day and then you know, don't care about your time, then you could worry and learning about every little technology you can. Like when Webpack would be a requirement for me, that's when I will learn it. Like I know what it is, I've used it before, but if you ask me to start a project with Webpack right now, I would have to read through the documentation and do it and follow along the way. So the simplest answer for you, just use create React app if you're building, you know, React application, or use Next.js version of their create app if you're doing a project with Next.js. And that's all you have to worry about in terms of when you're coding with React at the moment, because if you have extra time, spend it on learning more React than trying to thumble your fingers through with Webpack and stuff like that. So that's kind of the short answer on that. So let's go ahead But thanks, man. Love the questions. And listen, guys, this, I know I'm showing you the code, I'm showing you what we're doing, but I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys, let me know like the questions you have, like what you want to see, and it could be questions about anything. If something doesn't make sense, let me know. And man, I got 8 of you guys watching. That's a new record for these coding live streams, because they're, like I said, I'm making them unprepared for a reason, because I want to make sure that you guys get to see the reality of coding and don't feel bad at home when you're freaking stuck and you're trying to figure out like what the hell to do. So we're gonna go ahead and fix our navigation, because we want our navigation to be able to kind of work in a way we want it to work using React Router DOM. But at the same time, we want to make sure that our navigation is looking good while maintaining its functionality. So what I know I need to do is I need to search for, let me switch my screen back to the development mode here so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna go to trusty old Google, and we want to do React Bootstrap link router. I think this is gonna be the thing. So use React Router link with Bootstrap, and that's the article we want because I've used it in other projects before. So again, following the documentation, reading through stuff, we need to install React Router Bootstrap, so we're gonna go ahead and do that first. So let's go to our code, open up the terminal. Let me go here. I was working on whatever, I'm not gonna use this one. I'm gonna go back here, use everything within local, within VS Code. So we know we want to install, let me copy and paste this, boom. And so a lot of times like, Paul, how do you know how to do this? Well, I don't until I read the documentation. So we're gonna do npm install React Router Bootstrap. It's gonna install it. npm run start. Make sure that we're able to start this baby. I guess, sure. So once our application loads, every time I close my goddamn terminal window, it switches the Node version. How inconvenient, VS Code. How inconvenient of you. Making me look worse than I really am. Or better, I don't know. So start application. When it starts, it's thinking. So let's fix our navigation. So if we go back to use React Router, it's gonna show us an example. We wanna import link container for our link containers. That's what we want to do. And then it shows the little example. And let me make this bigger because you guys all need to see this. So going through the documentation, we're gonna copy and paste this again for effect. And what I want to do is import it on top of my file here. And now I'm gonna wrap these LIs with my link container. And what's cool is you could do Command F or Control F, and I could find all the LIs, right, that I have here. I know it's like super small, I can't make that bigger, and I want to replace all the LIs with link container. And that way I could just replace everything. Make sure you hit this second button. God damn it, it replaced everything. Let me go back here. How do you do it at this one? I think link container. I like how it replaced the capital letters as well. It makes sense. There's got to be a way to make it not replace the big letters. Is it this click? Damn it. What is oh, here we go. Maybe if I click this one, this one, this one, this one. I just wanna only get the little one selected. Yeah, that worked. But let me back up here. Li, no, it didn't work. You know what? Forget it. I was gonna show you how you could replace everything, but apparently it, for some reason, you know what? I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out on this live stream. We're gonna make it work. I wanna. Okay, let's try again here. Let's try again. It's okay, guys. Let's undo those. So what I want to do is I want to get all the LIs, but I only want the small letters. Is it this one? Yes, it's this button here. See, we figured it out through trial and error. That's what like coding is. You just trial and error, and we do this stuff, and we want to replace it with link container. Link container. Boom, that worked. And then now what we need to do is we need to move this out and put it inside our link container. See, like they show in this fine example. So let's go to our code here, and we're gonna remove this here. Control X, this goes here. Control X, this bad boy. Oh, it didn't replace it here. That's so annoying. I failed miserably. Manually have to do. I clicked the wrong button, that's why. But that's okay. And then we wanna replace this here. See how like I failed already 1,000 times in the span of 1 minute. And then so when you guys building stuff at home, don't feel bad. That's the way it is. And let's take a look at our application. If it fixed it, refresh. No, it still looks as butt ugly as it did before. Why? Why does it look as butt ugly as it did before? That makes no it makes no sense until it makes sense. Yeah, it still doesn't make sense. I know why it looks butt ugly, because we want this to be the nav link from the Bootstrap class. See, like the things that you think you knew. I mean, I knew that. Guys, I knew that. Come on. What do you think I am? I'm professional here. So we need to make sure that, where's our navbar links here? We used these. We want to make sure it's nav link. Copy nav link. Let's go back here. So this is gonna be nav link. There's another button you could do. I think it's, I don't know which button it is, but it allows you to select a bunch of cursors like this all at the same time. Look at that. And then I could type nav.link. And yeah, that button on my keyboard, it's option. I think it might be like control or something on your Windows computer. Yeah, control alt arrow. Yeah, there you go. And hello, MA, what's up? And then Lucky, what is this thing report vitals? It's an additional thing if you want to track the web vitals of your React application, which you don't need to do at all. So you could remove it completely and it's not going to break your app. I just left it in there for now, but we don't need it until like you want to be able to test the performance of your application and see other additional information when it's running and deployed. But I could literally erase it and it's not going to break anything. And we could delete this, I believe. I hope not. Let's take a look. Where's our React application? Boom. Look at that. It looks good and it works. Look at that. That's amazing. I don't like how this home button is always on though, but we could figure that out later. See, login. Login works. Homepage works. Look at that. It's like we know what we're doing on this channel. So link to, we will figure that home button, that brand on home. Okay, we'll figure that out later. But for now, I'm happy. So look at that. We made progress. we made our application look pretty amazing in terms of we have a functional navigation, and we set it up with React Bootstrap using Bootstrap, which is awesome. So next, what we want to do is we want to try to have some semblance of these cards. And so with React Bootstrap, you guessed it, we go here, and then you could search here, probably type card, click on card, and it's just going to show you basic examples. And that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to take and copy this code, copied it. I actually did not realize you could cut from here. Wow, you could type stuff in here. That's amazing. Test your code. What? That is cool. I didn't know you could do that. Like, can you add an extra button here by copy and pasting this? Like, what? That is amazing. Like, I'm pretty impressed. You could write legitimate code here, and it will show you that component here. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Anyway, getting carried away here. Let's copy this. Actually, let's not copy this yet, because I know that I want my layout to be this type of grid format. So that's probably not exactly what we want. So let's scroll down, see if they have some examples of card grid layout that we could use. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's scroll down. We keep scrolling. Ah, here we go. Like card groups. Let's see here. Grid card. Yeah, that's what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this example here. So we want to basically have a row component, and that component is going to loop through the data of each portfolio project that we have, and inside there we're going to generate the column and the card. So this is what we need. So what I'm going to do is copy this, go back to our application. So let's see here, we're working in our app.js. We want to go to our home, and our home, we have our projects here. So let's go to our projects here, and I could close this because we don't need this for now. And notice we have the code that we're getting from our API. We're basically querying this. It calls our API that we have running with Strapi. It's returning our data, and then we're looping through that data. So what they were saying is that you want to make sure that this component is a row component. And basically what this allows you to do using React Bootstrap, we want to make sure that we import it at the top here. Row from React Bootstrap. And so this basically tells us that we want this to be a row, and we want to have how many columns you want. If it's on an iPhone, it's going to show one column. If it's on your medium screen, it's going to show 2 columns. We want to make 3 columns, so I'm going to switch it to 3 columns. And then the final step, we need to make the appropriate changes in this card component. Like right now, I don't think it's going to really show us anything exciting, except the fact it made 1 column for now. That's fantastic. Project list here, where is that at? Let's remove this because we know what that is. So we have our row here, we are getting our data. So now we have to work on our card component and add the styling from the React Bootstrap. And guys, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. It doesn't have to be about like exactly what I'm doing. It could be about anything code related, and if I know the answer, I can help you out, because I want you guys to be able to use this time to ask questions. And I want to make sure that yes, I'm building a project here, yes, it's unprepared, but I also want it to be a learning opportunity for you guys, and at the same time be able to answer questions regardless if it's based on the code that I'm using or whatever that we're doing here. So, but let's get back into it. We're using React Bootstrap just because I want to show you that's a thing. Like if you're building React, you could use React Bootstrap. You could also use regular Bootstrap, and if we use the regular Bootstrap, like these components that we have access to, we would have to make them ourselves. Yep. And then MA, great question. Sorry, I'm new to this. JSX. So that's a great question here. So basically, because we're using React and because, for instance, this, oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Because we're using React, right? We could call this rename, and we could still call it JS, right? It's still gonna work. If I go back to my application and refresh it, oh, I have to restart it, but it's still gonna work. Let me restart it just so I could show you. Maybe I should stop killing the, wait, I think I have a terminal running here. How do I lift this up? Oh, there we go, a terminal running here. Oh no, I killed it. I'll show you for a second. I have to restart the app though. You'll see that it still works. npm run start. npm, I have to learn to spell run start. Yes, of course. I have another app working somewhere already. That's fine. So as you could see, once it loads, and if it's calling me a liar, I guess I'll be a liar, but it should work without a problem. Yeah, see, this works no problem. So here's the thing. Why? So you could use project and name JS. The thing is though, because we're working with React and because this is more of a UI thing and not just strict JavaScript, because it's returning JSX here, returning React components, I want to name it closer to what the file does. And because we're using JSX, let me name this file projects JSX. And this I need to rename to JSX as well. So as you can see, they're interchangeable, but basically if the file handles or return JSX, why not call it JSX? So whenever you're searching through stuff, it's much easier to tell which one is a React file, which is more like vanilla JS. Like for instance, this is vanilla JS from here, so it doesn't have JSX. And if I rename this to JSX, this in itself is not going to work because it's just vanilla JavaScript. So it's basically, if you want to have stuff which is just vanilla JavaScript logic, like you have helper functions or whatever, just call it like .js. But if you're returning JSX, call it .jsx, and that way when you look on your side menu here, you know, okay, this is returning JSX, must be our UI handling side of things. And then you look at here, you're like, oh, it's just regular JavaScript files that may have a bunch of functions that we need. I hope that was clear enough. I'm still trying to get better at giving better descriptions. And yeah, I could remove this. It's still going to work. I'll go ahead and remove this so it's not a source of confusion for us guys, because we're not using that. And let me restart my terminal here. Kind of see where we at and then move on. Yep, it's loading forever. It's struggling. So good, we have our navigation working. So our next step, like I was mentioning before, let me answer some questions here. Yeah, so this stream will live stream be later on. I save all of them on my YouTube channel, so they're all always going to be there. So whenever you have free time, you can always come back to check them out and go from there. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, because, man, I won't be able to pronounce the name. But, hey, I'm glad you're able to jump in, check us out. So we're building out and we're adding some basic styling to our application. So we just set up our Navbar. So this works great. You know, our navigation works. That's one part done. So now what we got to do, we got to work on these cards. And that's kind of what we're working on. So we set up our basic row. And now we need to create this code in our card component. And what's cool when you organize stuff through your components, it's just much easier to like make changes. You know what I mean? So if I go into project, so we didn't move this to its own separate card component. So what we could go ahead and do is we could create a separate component instead of keeping it in this file. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make new folder, and I'm gonna call it project card, because that's what it's going to be using is our project card. My music stopped. Let me quickly go ahead and see, because sometimes Spotify doesn't like me. I don't know why Spotify doesn't like me. Why can't you just play music like you were told to play Spotify and don't complain about it? You know, so going back to our code here. So what I'm gonna do is create a new file called a project card. And this is like project card.jsx. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move that code because we have too much stuff here, right? I don't like to have too much code. I wanna break stuff down when it makes sense. So we're gonna move this card component that we created, cut, and we're gonna move it to our project card here. We're making a query to get likes here in each card, so we want to make sure that we move this code as well into our card. Hold on a second, is that the right one? Yeah, Control X, move that to our card component as well here. And this is basically our GraphQL query that queries our likes for each post that we need access to. So I need to copy this as well, import it here. So that works. Let me format, make it look better. And then we want to make sure we export this component. Hey Lucky, thanks for staying up this late. Have a good night, my man. I'll see you later. All right, so I think this should work, and we're passing projects into this card, and we want to rename this because we called it project card, just for consistency, project card. And so now we're going to go to our initial component here, and we want to import project card. And then now we just replace this with project card. And in theory, this should all work. And if it doesn't, we figure out why. And that's kind of like what happens all the time is you work on stuff, you make it work, and then, hey, it works. But sometimes you run into errors and it doesn't work, and you try to figure out what the hell is going on. So now let's go ahead and copy this code, because this is how we want to refactor our current card component to utilize Bootstrap. And again, because we moved this to a separate file, it's much easier now for us to make the changes here. So what I'm going to do here, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this here, my Bootstrap code, so I could see it. So we need to make sure that we're returning a column component. So let's replace this with a column. And again, this is all based off React Bootstrap. So as we see here, I'm just copying and pasting this stuff. This is their column component. This is their card component. What it does is going to make our layout look similar to this. So basically that's why we're using Bootstrap, because instead of running this CSS from scratch, we have access to that. So we need to import column from React Bootstrap. Nice, that's good. And now we go back to our code here, refresh. And so now we have our one row, and then we have 2 rows left empty here. So we have to use the card component to make sure that this displays correctly. So we're gonna continue through that. And so here we go. So we wanna have our card. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that we put our card. And again, these are components that we didn't make ourselves. They were created by the team at React Bootstrap that created components for us to be able to use the components in our project without having to write additional CSS, why try to recreate something from scratch when you could go ahead and utilize a library like Bootstrap? So let's see here. Let's work on the card body first. I'm just gonna copy this inside our card body, and then I'm gonna put my title here. So we're basically replacing our HTML we wrote and just utilizing Bootstrap components, which is nice. Control V. And then this section we're just gonna leave here as is for now. This belongs on the outside, but just to kind of see some progress that we're making. So let's take a look. Yeah, it still doesn't do what it's supposed to, so here we go. We have to troubleshoot and figure out why. And I think I know why. I'll show you why in just a moment. And I didn't figure that out just because I hit inspect element. I just remembered when we were in projects, I saw this. You see here, we want to loop and we want to return our data here. And we're returning a div, but it should return that column. We should put this on the outside. Basically, we want the row and then we want our column component to show up. Right now, it shows up row, div, and then column. And I'll show you that here. So if you guys are thinking, what is this weirdness happening? So if I inspect this, you see it's div. So we have our div here. This needs to be column, not a div. And so I have to remove this, and so, or at least move it somewhere else. So what I'm going to do here is to remove this, or I could actually make it a React fragment. So like I do need something to wrap this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call it React fragment. Fragment is something that allows you to set up a container kind of div in a way, but it's not going to show up in your HTML, and I'll show you that in a second. Import fragment. And so fragment is not going to show up. So what we're going to see thing with a class of row, and then we're going to see our columns. And let me refresh this, and now you could see our cards are starting to take shape. They're currently showing 3 cards per row, and if I shrink to like an iPhone or something, it's just going to be all in one row. So our cards is taking place, we're making progress. But then I'm also want to show you here. So notice, even though we have an additional wrapper that is like a div here, you see it says div with a class of row, and then after it shows our columns, but it doesn't show our fragment here. So that's one way if you want to add a container because this needs to be wrapped in a container. Like if I remove this code's going to complain for us. So let me remove this. See, it's going to complain here. But wait a second. I could just remove these brackets and just return that data directly. That's going to work too. So it didn't even need to use React fragments here. So if we take a look here, it still works as expected. So next, let's add our image here for our card header, and then our avatar image. 10C jumping on. Hey bro, what's up? Hey, good to see you, 10C. Thanks for jumping in. We have hologram nunchucks. I always feel like a detective when tracking down a bug. Just zen out and follow the clues. Yeah, that's kind of like the most important part, and that's why I keep telling you guys, and this is why I started the stream, even though it's highly unprofessional and stupid and not popular at all. It's because like you need to see what it's really like when someone's programming, and the reality is you will be spending a lot of time tracking stuff down, a lot of time trying to figure out where you made a mistake, and troubleshooting and bug solving, and that's what makes you a developer. So tutorials, they don't make you a developer, they get you to a point. So that's why I tell you, after 3 to 5 tutorials, stop doing tutorials. It's hey kitty cat, it's, I just forgot that you could also see my cat. My cat's not invisible when he walks on the table like I thought he was before, weirdly. But yeah, so my cat says hi. But the point is, tutorials prep you to be able to do projects from scratch on your own. But projects from scratch is what turns you into a developer. So if you're following tutorials, you're not going to be a developer no matter how many tutorials you do, because they don't teach you the most important part. Is what you see here is running into issues, having trouble, and solving those problems. That's what makes you a developer. That's why I tell you, after 3 to 5 tutorials, stop and start building. And that's why I have this stream, to kind of help us all out, to make sure that we understand what real development is like. It's not roses and peaches. It's a lot of troubleshooting. It's a lot of, you know, smacking your head against the wall, if you will. And so that's what we're doing here. And so let's continue on. And guys, smash the like button if you haven't yet. I appreciate all of you guys. So remember, you're not smashing the like button for me. You're smashing the like button for all other awesome people in the chat today, and making this stream available to other people as well. 10C, thanks for the shout out, mate. I am inspired to see self-taught developers like you. It's 3 a.m. here in Paris, and I'm still studying, although I have to work tomorrow. God damn, you guys, I've been suffering with insomnia forever. You guys gotta go to sleep. I gave up coffee though. But hey, thank you for jumping in and saying hello anyway. But yeah, I gave up coffee just so I could sleep more normal, because for past month I've been averaging like 4 hours a night or something like that. Yes, 100%. Failure makes it perfect. Yeah, man, I love cats. Like, I mean, one day I'll get a dog. Like right now I live in a tiny studio apartment. It literally is like, I have no space. I used to never have a desk in my room because well, there's no room, so my computer was on my drawer, but working on a drawer sitting on the floor is kind of annoying, so I got a desk. But now literally it's my wall, my desk, my bed, and my door that you normally see on my other stream. So it's kind of like small apartment for 2 cats. It's insane. I do want to get a little dog and corgi to complete everything. And you know, I'm gonna have to like move out to a bigger apartment soon, because my fiance is coming down, so I'm gonna have to do that. But you know, probably a little bit bigger than this, but still not too big. I hate cleaning, so you know, no, please, no dog. Listen, if my fiance wants a dog just for her to have someone to play with when I'm coding, I will do it for that reason. But I like cats because they want attention when they want attention, but most of the time they know what to do. They'll leave you alone. So it's like a cactus. Like if you have plants, cactus is the easiest one because you just water it once in a while. Man, gave up coffee, but yeah, I'm starting to feel much better, surprisingly, not drinking coffee. I've been an addict, caffeine addict forever, like past like 30 years of my life. And what's insane, yeah, definitely should do research before you own the dog. But I was gonna say, like, I didn't realize when you give up caffeine, and if you've done like 9 cups of coffee for the past 30 years, you're gonna have insane withdrawal symptoms. Today is like the first day where I don't have a massive headache. It's insane. Yeah. Dogs are unhealthy, or drinking too much coffee are unhealthy? I know we're talking about a lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean, the chances of me getting a dog are very slim right now. I'm just saying it's open. And I'm sure my fiance will be okay with just 2 cats. But anyway, let's get back to it. Let's get back to the code. But again, ask whatever questions. I just bought John Dawkins' HTML, CSS, and JavaScript book to read while commuting and to and from work. It's risky to use phones in metros here in Paris, for we have a lot of phone snatches. Damn, man, I get it. Yeah, no, that's a good book. And that's a generally good like a book to kind of get you know, similar ideas. I bought a Kindle. Actually, let me grab it, show it to you. I mean, I only use it once in a while. I use it once in a while. Like I got like one of these here. Is it like the battery's not charged because I haven't used them forever? What I'm trying to do is like I try to not to read on my phone. So like I do have lots of great coding books. I've showed my collection before. But yeah, I'm trying to like read more books because I want to give a break from a device. I don't want to constantly be like, you know, I don't want to involve with my neck constantly being like this because all I do is on my phone all the time. So I'm trying to read more books, more stuff like that. Yep. Listen, American Heart Association also says eating carbs is okay, like, and you're not going to be fat. I think like there's a study for everything, depending what company supported the study. Was it like Coca-Cola? I think Coca-Cola did that coffee study you might be talking about. And so, you know, that coffee is not bad. I think everybody's different. And what I would say is that some people could be fine with coffee. I thought I could be fine with coffee, except I don't sleep. And the coffee is not causing me issue. It's the fact that I'm not sleeping that's causing me issues. I love coffee, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, I also need to sleep because if I don't sleep, then that really messes up my health. But at the same time, you know, when it comes to diet, nutrition, coffee, or even like whatever, basically what I could tell you could be complete nonsense to you, or whatever you tell me could be complete nonsense for me, because it's so individual specific that there's people that could eat carbs and be perfectly fine. And then there are people like me who could eat carbs and gain like bajillion pounds in a day. So yeah, that's crazy. So getting back to code here, so we're moving on. So we know this works. We're going to go into our project card and we're going to continue here. We want to add so we added our card body. We want to add our image here, and right now I'm just going to copy and paste this. And again, like, this is not rocket science because I literally just went to our documentation for using React Bootstrap and copied this code for reference. And if you know Bootstrap, like, this makes it much easier for you to do stuff. But I just wanted to use React Bootstrap in my project, and I just realized I didn't share my screen. I used React Bootstrap here because I don't want to write a lot of CSS from scratch. What we could do is get general layout, and then we write some custom CSS to make our application look, you know, different enough that it doesn't look like every Bootstrap application here. So now what I just did, I copied this card image component here, and again, I was saying, like, you know, we're getting this from reading React Bootstrap documentation, which shows examples. So once we get the general CSS laid out where it works, looks okay, then we could add more custom stuff to make it look like what we want. So let's look at our code. Now obviously it's an error because this is not a real link to a real image that exists. So let's replace it with our image. So let me take a look here in our console, the data we're getting. Refresh. Did I remove the console log? That's annoying. Let me console log the data so we could see what we have available here. So let me console log. All right, so let's see, we're getting our project, and within our project we have our developers. Now this is so annoying. I might have erased the changes that I made last stream, where we pulled in avatar image and pulled in our post image. I know they exist, so let's take a look at our Strapi component here. So I know we have the image here because we added here, we have feature image, and I know we also have users, and users have an avatar image. So let's go back to our GraphQL instance, and GraphQL is not localhost. GraphQL is what we're using to serve up our data to our front-end application. So you could use REST or you could use GraphQL. And so that's what we're going to do. No, I haven't really thought about using it. Probably should come up with some snippets to make stuff easier. So just do it like that. So here we go. At least my query string saved. So what we want to do, we want to get featured image, and we want to get developers and their avatar image. So let me copy and paste this query that I know works. So you will see that our current query in code doesn't have this because I forgot to save it, and it doesn't have this. So let's add that. So we go here, you notice here we're just getting the developer information and that's it. But what we want to do is we want to get actually I need to delete this one. So the way GraphQL works, again, if you're brand new to this, don't worry about it too much, but we basically pass a query string that looks very similar to the data we want to get in JSON. So we want to get back projects, we want to get ID, name, description, developer, we want to get the developer's ID, first name and last name. And so basically we create a query string that we pass to useQuery, and behind the scenes this goes to our API and returns all that information that we need. So now when we go to our application here, you'll see, by the way, see how I query here looks exactly what we want. You know, we asked for projects, so we got back projects. So I'll show you here in our React application. So let me clear. No, it's a function. What the hell? And then let me refresh. And notice now we got our projects back. And within projects, we're now getting our feature image, what we need, and we're getting our avatar image. So that's what we could use to add our images to our post. So let's focus on our featured image first. Okay, so we get featured image formats. So let's go here, project card. So we want to get, Jesus Christ, it's so annoying. Project ID. Let me kind of refactor this a little bit. I will refactor it back in a second. I just want to be able to console log something inside here. So I have to do the long way here, not the way I had it here. I need to have a return statement here. Oh, wait a second. I'm an idiot. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. We got it. I don't need to write the return statement here. I already have the return statement here. I just have to change these brackets like this. Like this. What am I doing? I'm an idiot, guys. Complete idiot. Complete idiot. Forget this. Brain fart. So we are getting this. So let me console log project here. Yeah, I was having a brain fart completely in outer space world. And then we could remove this console log because we know that works. Okay, so we got our individual projects. I just did it so it's easily to see the names. So we need project feature image dot format dot medium. So that's a lot of things to remember. So we have access to our project feature image formats medium. So let's go ahead here. Project card. So we want to get project dot featured image dot formats dot large, I think it said, dot URL, I believe. I don't know. Is that what it said? Yeah, that worked. That's exactly it. So notice now we're getting our images inside our card. Look at that. Looks fantastically beautiful. And then we'll figure out how to make the size more consistently so, you know, they're the same width and height. I mean height, I guess. But that's no big deal. And we could delete homepage from here because we don't need it. Let's go to pages. Let's delete this for now. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, looks good. We could add a little bit padding on top in just a second. And because we're using React Bootstrap, it's very nice like when you want to add padding to places, because you could just add a class that you know exists. So what I could do here, row, we're going to add, I believe it's padding X, and let's do 2. I always get X and Y confused, like for height and width, whatever here. No, I used for, we need Y for up and down. Y. And is that good enough padding? No, that's not good enough. Let's do like 4 or like 6. Let's do 4. And again, all these are Bootstrap classes, so if you're familiar with Bootstrap, you could check it out. So that looks good. See, we have padding on top here. And if you're not familiar with Bootstrap, you could just go here and search padding, I believe. What am I doing? Typing like an idiot. Padding, and it'll show you. You could check it in layouts, probably like utilities. You could find and read up. Toggle content forms. Maybe it's helpers. Utilities, position, spacing. I believe it's spacing. Yep, so it's padding, and then it shows you like padding X is left and right, padding Y is top and bottom, and that's how I knew. And then it shows the different size, the space. We did 4, you know, so we did P, which is a class for padding. We did Y, which is for top and bottom, and we did 2 for 0.5. I believe we did 4. We did 4. So we did 4 for padding of 1.5. And that's how you could use the power of Bootstrap to make things work. So let's take a look here. See how we're doing here. So it's looking better. It's looking way better than before. And now what I want to do is I want to add our avatar image somewhere. And then I want to maybe replace this, make it a like icon, not like this ugly button. And so, but let's first do our avatar image. So what's cool about React Bootstrap, you could go here, you could look under images, and it shows you like, you know, different images that you could implement. So we want the rounded circle. I'm just going to copy this for now. Copy. We'll figure out a place to stick it later. We go to our cards. And so in our card body, or maybe like we'll make a card footer. We'll put it in the footer. It doesn't matter where we put it. We'll figure out in a second. Right now, I'm just going to put right here. Let me move all this together to the top. So basically, I found the image component in the React Bootstrap, and I'm using this rounded image, and I'm just copying and pasting into my code. We need to make sure we import it here. And once that's imported, let's figure out where the image for our avatar lives. So I know I did console log. So let's look in here. So it's going to be project developer avatar image URL. Project developer avatar image URL. So let's add that here. So that's project dot developer avatar image .url. And there you go. It's huge, humongous, but looks good. We got it showing up. So now if I want to make a, this image smaller, let's add a custom class to it. And so this is what I'm telling you, like you could use Bootstrap, right, to do the general layout for your application to make sure it looks good, and then afterwards you could go back and add custom CSS to personalize and to add those final touches. And this is going to be one example. And again, we are going to refactor this, but right now I'm just going to put it in the index SCSS or SAS file that I have here. What am I doing? Let me go back here to screen share. So let's go to our code. So what I'm going to do is for this image, I'm going to add class name, and this class doesn't exist yet, but I'm going to call it avatar. And then in our SAS folder here, index CSS, we're going to add an avatar class, and eventually we will make this organized and break it out into different files. But for now, I just want to make sure that we have something, get the general thing done, that our general functionality works. I mean, we're looking for a minimum viable product, and we want to make sure that we get there in the fewest steps as possible for now. So refresh, see, boom, we added custom class for our avatar, and now that looks better. And let me look at the comments here. So MA, great question. And listen, I don't have to wait for the computer. You could just ask questions and I'll answer your questions, guys. That's kind of like what the point of the stream. So let me put that question back up. Well, blah, blah. So when working for a company, do they want devs to write everything in CSS or using a framework? So in all the companies that I work for, especially the team size were like, last company I worked, there was 10 to 12 developers. So we use the framework, we use Material UI. Now at my new company that I'm working at, we're using Bootstrap. So a lot of times you will use like a framework like Material UI or Bootstrap. I know someone who works at down in Bradstreet, which is a humongous company, and they use, in certain projects, they're using Material UI, where they utilize base styling from Material UI, so they don't have to recreate that from scratch, and then they add existing, or I guess custom CSS code on top of that, kind of like I'm going to do in this application. So in majority cases, like a lot of companies, they will be using and leveraging, some sort of framework as well. So Material UI is huge, especially if working with React. Bootstrap is huge. And then Tailwind, it's a CSS framework out there. I wouldn't say it's popular, so don't be very cautious with learning it at the moment. If you don't know Bootstrap or you don't know Material UI, don't learn Tailwind. But here's the thing, to answer your question, if you don't know HTML and CSS, don't use Bootstrap or Material UI. You need to know HTML and CSS. For instance, because I know HTML and CSS, I could use Bootstrap to make my workflow go by faster. And if something doesn't work, I know enough CSS to troubleshoot what's the issue. A lot of times what happens, people do Bootstrap, they do copy and pasting, but then when something doesn't look right or breaks, they don't know how to basically, fix the changes, and that's why I tell you, learn HTML, CSS first, but then once you know the basics, do Bootstrap, because it definitely helps you speed up your development. Like, we're making so much progress. I mean, obviously I'm talking and I'm running into issues, but we're making a lot of progress and not writing any custom CSS. And the good news, like, you look at our application, like, I didn't write responsive code, but look, it's responsive. Like, if you're looking, the menu I have to fix. Don't worry about the menu. But at least the stuff here, this is responsive because that's out of the box with Bootstrap. You're getting that. You don't have to worry about that. And all additional stuff, like for instance, we didn't implement the responsive part for the menu, where we need to, like, if it gets to a certain screen size that's too small, we want to have a button here that opens a drop down. We'll do that later. I didn't do that yet. That's why that's not responsive. But like for this stuff, that works and looks great. And another great questions. I love you guys asking questions. So is this going to be your portfolio website? Yeah, and this is another step that I was thinking about it. So, and this is going to be a pretty complex project, by the way. So it's going to take a while to go through it and finish it. But I am going to make it a portfolio project, not from the standpoint of like the code that I wrote and only, I mean, and the stuff that we created, but from the standpoint is that I'm building a platform that is going to allow web developers or aspiring web developers to be able to share their projects, allow people to upvote, leave comments. I'm also going to make a section here where people are able to manage their projects. You could track like what step you're on. So it's going to have a built-in project manager in it eventually. So it's going to be a pretty significant app. But the reason it's going to be a portfolio project from the standpoint that I want actual real users on this. So once we get to a point, as soon as we're able to add users, all of you guys who participate in this live streams, I'm going to have you guys be users of this application. So not only can you use it to benefit you and have a community, but you're also helping me in a sense to have an application that actually has a user base. So I think I want to not only have like a portfolio where like here are the projects I built, and mind you, I've been working in development for 2-3 years now, but I want to have an application that actually I built from scratch, but also has real users that are using the application. You know what I mean? So I want to have an application that's not just a demo app or a demo portfolio. I want it to be an actual applications that people are using. So that way my portfolio nowadays, I could be like, this is not just the project I created, but this is a project that I developed and deployed. And this is the users we have. We have, 20 monthly users or 100 or 1,000, whatever it is. So I want to be able to say that in my portfolio. So the short answer is going to be yes, a piece of my portfolio, but more importantly, it's also going to be next step evolution of my projects where I have an application that is actually people are using. And by the way, if it sucks, you'll be able to tell me, hey Paul, your application sucks, and hopefully we'll have a feature where you could give your responses in the form of bugs, and I could slowly work on fixing it. So there we go, let's come back here. So we got our god damn it, what is this toolbar? Yeah, thanks a lot. Dev Mentor Life. Not enough whiskey for Bootstrap. We're using React Bootstrap, which is even worse, by the way. You can't drink enough whiskey to learn to use React Bootstrap components. So I'm just doing it here just because why not? But I tell people, listen, whatever framework somebody tells you need to know to use, if they tell you to use Bootstrap, use Bootstrap. If they tell you to use Material UI, use Material UI. If they tell you to use Tailwind, Tailwind. Who uses Tailwind? Who uses Tailwind in Next.js anyway? What kind of like person does that? Seriously, use what you are getting paid money for. But I think knowing Bootstrap is important because I've worked on a bunch of companies and they use Bootstrap, and I worked at a company where they use Material UI. So definitely know enough HTML and CSS to be able to understand when things break, how to fix them. But yeah, don't be shy and rely on a framework. It already exists, man. But man, always glad to have you here, Mark. Anytime you have and jump in on the streams. You and I got to do a whiskey stream. That's what we need to do, a whiskey stream soon, someday. So this is where we at. We created this. We're pulling data from our clone GitHub, please. Clone GitHub, please. What do you mean by that, clone GitHub, please? I think like Microsoft used that against us with Copilot. Copilot is actually, I have nothing against Copilot. To be honest with you, you can only use Copilot if you already know how to code, because you need to be able to read the code the Copilot writes and make sure that it does what it does in terms of you understand what it is. And I think think of Copilot not as it will replace developer jobs. And by the way, not everybody has access to Copilot at the moment. I'm still waiting to get on it. But the point with Copilot is that think of it as like, you know how you use grammar check like in the website like Grammarly or in your like text editor at home. It's basically what it is. It's, grammar helper for code. You know what I mean? So this will allow you to solve things faster and be more productive. But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to code
and you don't understand the code, Copilot like recommends it won't help you. It just won't help you. And sometimes like it might I'm all for it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think like it's not going to end developer jobs. I just think it's going to make developers move a lot faster when writing code. And I think it's still going to take a long time before people adopt it and start using it effectively and efficiently. Hey, kitty cat, you want to say something? You want to play with the mic? Look at this guy. Look at this fat bastard. Oh, yeah, I got you now. What do you want to say to the mic? You want to say something? Yeah, don't want to say anything. Man, I got to be careful like some of those streamers that throw their cat's life on stream out of anger. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But yeah, so that's that. So anyway, let's yep. Yeah, our our application is going to be kind of like a website for developers manage their projects and then be able to communicate with the community and give feedback on what they're working on and give suggestions if someone has a question. So probably a combination of like Stack Overflow and GitHub and I don't know, Facebook. I'm just randomly throwing names out. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like, listen, there's so much complexity that we could add to this application. Let's just show a few slots like cards first and make sure our like button works and make sure that our user is able to log in and use it. But yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, you have to know how to copy and paste and use it. Yep. Yeah, 100%. And using it though, like it also gives you a suggestion for code. Like I saw a great example. There's an amazing video from Blue Collar Coder, I think it's called. He created a great example how to use it while you type your code. Like you'll start typing a function and it will actually show you suggestion on how to finish the function. So literally you'll start writing a function, it'll take into context what you had before and it'll try to guess what you're trying to write next. And it's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. Let me go actually show you where that video is and share the link. Blue Collar Coder Copilot. See, I'm an expert. I was going to say I'm an expert Googler. And look what we got. We got the most ridiculous stuff. Maybe I don't know how to spell Blue Collar Coder. Maybe he recently published something. Here we go.
SG Wong 513.
Okay. Oh, he uses his name. It's Blue Collar Coder, but it's Jack Harrington. And if you go to his videos, it's a great channel, by the way. But he has a bunch of cool stuff. Him and Dev Mentor are the two people like I really like watching in terms of like real developers and stuff. But let me find the video that he did here. Uploads plus solid, blah blah blah. Copilot, that's this
GitHub
one.
Copilot.
He created this video. Will GitHub Copilot take your jobs? And then he shows the example of how he uses it and why it's a good thing. Let me share this for you guys after this. Could go check it out. It's a pretty good video and pretty awesome. Here, I'll put it in the chat. All right, guys. So what we're going to do we're not going to go too crazy right now. Let's kind of look at where we're at here. So we want to build something like this. So we want to we don't have to make it exactly like this, but we want to make sure that we have a link for details. We have our avatar, we have this, whatever. So let's go finish up quickly here. Let's take a look here. So we added our avatar, we have our name. Let's make the likes be in this section here. So let's create a container for this and this component and put them side by side. So let's do that to finish up for today. So I'm going to go to our project, and so we're going to do it in the body, I guess. Oh, no, we'll do it outside. We'll create a footer here. It's going to be in a footer, all that stuff. So I'm just going to use regular footer. Why not? You know, you don't need to just have one footer. It could be a footer in a card, and our footer is going to have all this stuff here. And actually, we're going to make 2 divs. Div 1, and we're gonna put the image and the name in one div, and then we're gonna put the rest of the stuff in the other div. And again, we could always refactor, make it look nicer. We just want to get it less ugly than we had it before, and paste it in here, format. And so let's see how it looks now. So it looks still just as ugly. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we have padding. So I'm going to look up to see what kind of padding that has here. And what's cool is that, actually, let me back up here. What's cool now that we could use React components, or we could create our own components here and put our own styling like we're going to use in this case. So we have this footer component, and let's use class name, and we're gonna give it some bootstrap classes. We're gonna give it a padding of 2, and so if we switch back here, you could see that we're using 2 padding, but this looks like this is slightly bigger padding. So I was gonna actually use the developer tool to see what padding this is using and give the same padding here. So that's using 1 rem. So let's go to our bootstrap spacing. 1 rem by default it's 3. So let's go to our code, and we did py3. So now look at that, our padding is the same, and now we want the avatar, the name, and the likes to be side by side. So we're going to use regular bootstrap, right? Because you could use classes. So we want to search for, I don't know if it's not position, flex. Look at flex. Let's use some flex. So it just shows us some examples here. So if you want to use flex, they have pre-made classes. Deflex will make it flex. So let's add deflex, and let's see here. Oh no, that's not the one. Here we go. So that's kind of like what we want, and let's make it spaces between. Let's add between, like, so we want it to be our elements to be between, like this one. So we want justify content between. And again, see, this is like, I mean, I could write all the CSS myself, but we already have these as available classes because we're using Bootstrap. So why not use Bootstrap? And so that should make our elements between. Look at that, getting better. And then the last thing, let's make him center. Wow. Actually, I like it like that. Let's not make it center. We'll fix this later. But for now, actually, you know what I want to do? I want this not to be on top. I want it to be on the bottom. And I think I could do like, and sometimes if I'm not sure of something, I'll test it here. I think there's a thing called align self, I think. Yeah, align self. We could move it center, baseline, and I'll make it, I'm not going to worry about that right now. But we could align it center and like whatever you want. For now, this is fine. Before finishing this, you know, maybe we'll do it later in a later live stream. These are the things we're going to fix. Let's save it for next live stream. Lucky, you're killing me. Go back to sleep, Lucky. Yo, what's up? I just woke up. I'm fully rested. Let's go. Dude, you are killing me, my man. If you have to go to work this early, I'm sorry that you didn't get enough sleep, man. I hope you have a wonderful day. Drink, you know, I don't know what you could do to stay up, bro. You're a beast. You're like pulling some my sleeping schedule right there. Anyway, guys, so what we're gonna do for next stream, because I do want to show you one important part here. For the next stream, we are going to fix this. You know, we'll make this look better, add the functionality for our likes, what we do next stream, and then we'll keep this the same because this looks fine, but we'll add a thumbs up here, and then we'll put the number of likes next to the thumbs up. We'll do that next stream because I want to show you the most important part. So here's the thing, guys, and I'm pretty happy with this, and I'm just going to say I'm pretty happy with this because I'm going to show you how to go ahead and pull this into your master branch. But let's say we did this work, our navigation looks good, in, you know, theoretically good enough. Our cards look good, they're responsive for mobile. You know, this bottom footer we're going to fix later, but I want to finish up here to kind of show you the practice. So we started by creating our own branch called React Bootstrap, because that's what we added, React Bootstrap, and we added some basic stuff. I should have been more specific. I should have said React Bootstrap, navigation and card, whatever, but that's fine. So these changes right now are not implemented on master. And by the way, you don't want to work in master. That's why we went ahead and we switched out of master and we created a separate branch, React Bootstrap. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this branch, I'm going to kill the server. Actually, before you commit stuff, very good practice is to not have any unnecessary console logs in your code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search all the console logs in my application, and I'm going to delete a lot of them that are extra. This one I'm going to keep because that's still to do. And a lot of times, if you're doing console logs, actually, let's not do console log here. We'll just delete this because we know that works, but I'm gonna put a to-do here. Add handle like functionality. Okay, that's good enough. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do get status, and it's gonna show all the new files that we did. I'm gonna do get add dot, and then do get status again. And so now we have all these items that are added. And I'm gonna click this button here to push and merge everything. And then if I do get status, what am I doing? Get push. We gotta do get changes to commit. Wait a second. Then I not add, oh, stage changes. Yeah, we need to do get commit. That's what we do. We do commit message. And when I do commits now, what I started to do, I will preface it with the branch name. So we're inside React Bootstrap. So when I look at my commits, and I see the first initial thing, it says React Bootstrap, and it's the name of the branch. It makes it easier for me to follow. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say what we did, added React Bootstrap. You could be more detailed. I'm just for the sake of the stream, nav and card components. And then now I'm gonna click here, or I could type get push. So now I just push this branch to my GitHub. So let's go to GitHub. And so the idea here, I didn't merge it yet, right? And I know when you're on a team, let me show, I think it's community one client is this one. So yeah, when you're on a team and there's like a lot more people, this makes sense. If you're by yourself, I still would suggest using this workflow because it's going to train you to work like you do on a team. But so now, instead of just we have our master branch, instead of just merging that code that we did, see it says our recent branch React Bootstrap had recent pushes less than a minute ago. So what you want to do is compare and pull request. So we want to create a pull request. And so I'm going to click create pull request. And what this allows me to do is to assign a reviewer. Obviously, because I'm one person, there's not any reviewers that could assign to, so I'm just gonna assign it to myself. And now what you want to do is you want to check, you want to take the steps to check the code that you wrote before merging it into your main branch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a look. This was the original. We added Bootstrap. We added, this is interesting. Did I do npm install and installed npm install, which I don't know was a thing. So we don't want that there. So that's an issue. Let me go back here. I must have, with my fat fingers, type npm install and install that package by the name install, because we don't need it. I'm going to keep it here for now, but I'll figure that out off screen. But this is good, this is good, this is good. So I'm going to click, I viewed it, it looks good. Then the changes. So I'm basically going over the changes I made, make sure that, first of all, we test the code, it works, and make sure that I didn't introduce any breaking stuff. So here, it looks like we took the navigation and we moved it into its own component. So that's good. We added our project card separate component. That's good. We changed the query here. So that's good. So basically, I'm going through and I'm reviewing the code. This looks good. Yep. We removed report web vitals because we don't need that. Here, we removed home. We added container. That's fine. And this looks good. And so now I kind of went over it and I reviewed. And so now when I go to my pull requests, I'm going to click pull request. I'm able to see and see, like, here's the thing. Like, thank God I didn't merge it into the main application, because now, like, we have errors. See, our deploy failed. So if I just willy-nilly pushed it into master, I would have introduced breaking changes to my application. And this is why I keep telling you, do a separate branch and then do a pull request. Because this is deployed on Netlify, it shows me, hey, something's messed up. It didn't break. So, like, it didn't work. So let's go details and let's see, like, what failed. Let's see here. And basically, here's the stuff. It says no unused variables. It's not allowed in deployed applications. So let's go, and it kind of shows you where the issues are. So let's go to app.jsx here. And this is why you got to build stuff from scratch and learn this process, no unused variables. So let's get rid of container. Let's get rid of link. So that one is done. And then we had projects JSX. Yeah, and thanks Big B Tuxedo Cat for 20. It really is coming together. And then let's remove that unused fragment and projects JSX. So let's go to projects. And so we have here, we're not using fragments, so let's remove it. And by the way, after you make the changes, you need to, again, commit this code. So git add, get status, make sure that I added those things. And I'm going to commit it to the same place, and I'm going to push it again. And now I'm going to go to my GitHub. Back to GitHub, refresh. We want to go blah 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 blah, pull request. That's where we at. Let's look at this here. Let's check it out. Files change, we saw, and now it's gonna, we fixed the errors, we recommitted the code. Now it's gonna run the test again to make sure it works. And so once it finishes, and if there's no errors and you're happy with it, then we could go ahead and push this to our master branch. So I know it's taking some time. Let's refresh. But while we're waiting on that to finish up, I think, yeah, this app is coming together. We have the like, here's the thing, guys. This might look as impressive, but you have to understand, we set up a backend API, which works. We set up a front end, and using GraphQL, we're able to communicate with our backend. So all this data that we're getting in our application is dynamic. Like I could go to our backend here, go to projects, and I could add a new project called test. I'll just put test everywhere. I'm going to use the same image for now. Like, let's use this one. Finish. And this is coding after 30. No likes, no comments. Save. And publish. Publish. Why? What's going on? Okay, publish. And then now we go to our React application. I refresh. Oh, wait. I got to get it started. My apologies. npm run start. Once it starts, let's go to our application. And I hope you saw that we used to have 3 posts. We added a post in our back end, and boom, what do you know? Look at that. We got our 4th post. This is fantastic. Now, this is amazing. This is working well. So this is great because we have a skeleton. Our front end and back end functionality is set up. Our back end and front end are able to communicate. So now it's just filling in additional features and additional functionality. So this is amazing. We're doing good. So check this out. We are going through the tests and blah blah blah, no header, rules processed, 8 new files uploaded. So that's good. So now, because our code passed, what I could do now, and instead of merge and pull requests, I like to squash and merge, because that's going to basically clean up the prior commits. So we're not just gonna have the last commit that we did. Let me, kitty cat, I love you. You could sit here for a little bit like this, chill. And then we're going to, because we passed all the tests, everything looked good, we're going to do squash and merge, confirm and merge. And so now we closed our pull request. So if I go here, look, we have no pull requests, and we just merged our code into our master branch after doing testing, manual testing, and after making sure that fixing any bugs that we have. So you should never commit bugs. Hey, Hologram Nunchucks, thanks a lot. I'm going to end up like in 5 minutes right now. I'm just finishing up this last step. But thank you so much for joining us here. Really appreciate you, my brother. And we'll see you next stream. So we'll be done in a few minutes, guys. So the final step, we basically now merged our code into master. So we're done with this branch. So what I'm going to do is switch back to master. And when I switch back to master right now, what you're going to see is, let me start it up again. So like once this restarts, so now here's the final piece here. So this is what we started with. This was in our master branch. We did not work on our master branch. We created a new branch where we made all the changes. Now, after we made all the changes in that separate branch, we did a pull request, we tested everything looked good, and then we merged everything together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get pull, which is going to pull all the changes that we made from our React Bootstrap branch and integrate it into masters. So now when we go here and refresh, obviously I have to start the app again. And what we did basically while this restarts is we, click yes. We finished all our changes in our separate branch. We checked it for errors. We made sure that it worked. After we made sure it worked, we did a pull request. We checked the pull request. And after we were happy with everything, we pushed the changes, we merged the changes with master. So now master's up to date. We have our new changes, and this is where we're going to start from our next stream. By the way, guys, if you want to get the link, where we at, link for this application, I'll post it. What I'll do is I'll post it in the video. I'll do it in the comments here as well. But this is just for the front end. You'll also need the back end. So what I'll do, like, I won't even post in the comments. I'll later edit this video, add this in the description. I'll put the GitHub links to the API code and then the front end code here. But hey, we did an amazing job. Thanks you for all of you who were able to stay here. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the support. I appreciate all you guys. We are making progress. This is kind of what we want it to look like, and we're pretty much how we wanted to make it look. We just want general style for now. Once we get all the functionality, we'll make the site work even more customized. But this is it for now, guys. And I want to say lots love to all of you guys. I really appreciate you guys jumping in. I love the fact that you guys enjoy these streams, like these streams. I know they're not the most popular streams because, you know, a lot of people just want to watch exciting stuff and don't want to do stuff with code, don't want to see that the struggle is real. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Love you all. Have a good rest of the week. Happy Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, wherever you are in the world. I hope that all the best happens to you guys, and we will see you super soon. Again, thanks for dealing with me, by the way. These streams are unprepared, and the reason I keep them unprepared is because I want you to see the real struggle of what it's like coding, and at the same time you guys see the progress that we're making. So thank you all. Again, thanks a lot. Must see, it's once again from zero. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, from zero all the way to completion, and you guys are gonna be along the way for the journey. And then I'll also make some standoff tutorials which covers certain specific things that like we use to make this tutorial work as well, so you guys will have that instead of having to like sit through a whole live stream again. I mean, you could also search it and stuff, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm getting tired too, even though it's not too late. It's only 8 o'clock here. But man, thanks a lot, guys. God bless all you. See you guys next time. Thanks, Big B, Tuxedo Cat. Thanks, MAA. Thanks, Telegram Nunchucks. Thanks, Lucky. Thanks, everybody who was here, Mayor, and everybody. Have a good night, guys. Signing off, and take care.